This is the Reinforce Your Gym podcast with your host, Dustin Vogel. This show is about arming gym owners with the tools, strategies, and lessons they need to take their business to the next level. That way, they can make a greater impact in their community. Now, let's get to work and reinforce your gym.
All right, guys, we're testing a new format this week, so let me know what you think. We're doing a mailbag episode, all right? That means real gym owners have submitted their questions to their biggest constraint in their business, and I have not seen them before hitting record, and they're going to be given to me here, and you're going to get my off-the-cuff reply, all right? So if you guys like these, let me know. We'll do more, but today we're going to start with 3 questions from 3 real gym owners, all right? So let's get into it, okay? First mailbag question is Freddie with Fit for Life. He says, "Hey Dustin, I run a boutique hit studio. We've been running meta ads for about 8 months and we get leads at about 30 to 40 leads a month, but we only close about 4 to 5 of them into a member. My front desk staff is trying to follow up, but people keep ghosting after the first text. I feel like I'm spending $1,500 a month to build a list of people who don't care about our services. What am I doing wrong?" All right. Well, I'm sure a lot of gym owners listening to this podcast can say, "Hey, I relate, Freddie." So here's the truth. Let's dive into your numbers. Number one, you guys been open 8 months. Awesome. You're getting 30 to 40 leads a month off of $1,500. So I'm going to just do some quick math. Let's take the top end of that. And so $1,500 divided by 40, you're getting a $37 cost per lead. I don't know the exact area you're in, but I would say that is high. Okay. Usually the competitive nature of your area and like how dense it is will dictate a lot of times your CPL. So if you're in a downtown suburb a downtown area, you're going to get highest CPL, especially because there's probably a lot of gyms. Then you go to your suburbs, it's a little bit more middle of the road, and then you go rural or maybe there's not a lot of gyms and you can dominate and usually get really low cost per lead. That doesn't mean that's the only factor. There's a lot of creative things you can do to get that CPL down. But I'm going to say you're probably high on your CPL. So if you're running your own ads, you need to dive into learning more about them. If you have an agency, then you need to investigate with them and find out, hey guys, why is my CPL so high? $37 is really up there, okay? Now, that is not the only, end all be all when it comes to marketing. The next thing I look at is ROAS. Maybe 37 is not bad if you're selling them a $500 program and you're saying 5 people are becoming a member. Well, then you can do $37 all day long on your CPL. So you want to start to understand your numbers. That's the big thing I want to start off with, is start to understand what is your cost per lead month to month, and then what is your ROAS month to month. Okay, a lot of gym owners are not good about tracking that. And ROAS is return on ad spend, which is pure ad spend to dollars collected in 30 days. So if you put $1,500 in and you bring 5,000 out, again, let's say you sold 10 people a $500 thing. I mean, that's like a 3x, ROAS, right? I'm gonna do my public math here, 3.3, right? So it's a 3.3 ROAS. If you put 1,500 in, you make 1,500. You made a 1x ROAS, which is not great. We want 2 to 5. And if you put 1,500 in, you make $500. You're in a negative ROAS. So we don't want that. So essentially, that's my first thing is I think your CPL is high. What would I recommend? Look at your offer. Look at your creative, okay? Use images if you can't get video, but if you can, really try to get video as soon as possible because video tends to do best. Create really captivating images, all right? A lot of gym owners are bad about this. We've had gym owners we work with at GR, and we ask them to go get some photos, and they would take photos of the back of the heads of their clients or their upper backs, and just not get the front. Like people want to see the face, right? They want to see people's faces. So get members smiling arm in arm after a session. Get a coach high-fiving and get the face and the expression of the coach and the client, right? Like get some really engaging images and heck, even use AI, right? That's a wonderful thing we got these days. But I would throw up a lot more creative and just have a lot more competitive creatives going up to see if we can get that CPL to come down. A big factor is going to be the offer. And the next thing I would say is that's your other homework is to make sure you have an outcome-based offer. All right. Again, you didn't mention what your offer is, but a lot of times in a gym setting, we're giving away time. We're saying, who wants my 7-day this, my 21-day that, my 6-week this? but we're not really talking about the outcome that the person is going to get. And that's more so what they want to buy. They want to buy an outcome. They don't really care so much about the time. So that would be your three-step homework, Freddie, is make sure you got an outcome-based offer, load up way more creatives to get that CPL down, and then finally start to understand your ROAS and your CPL because those were not mentioned in here. And that way you start to become more and more dialed in with your marketing. And hey, use AI if you're like, this is a lot. Go into your Meta ad suite, download your CSV at the end of the month, give it to AI and say, give me a full marketing breakdown with all the most important metrics I should know. And you can just rinse and repeat that every single month, right? So that would be my best suggestion. Now, last thing I'll say is I'm going to look at your conversions here. If you're saying you get 40 leads and five become a member, yeah, that's about 8 to 10%. So you're actually in the sweet spot in terms of meta conversion. We tend to see 10% is the low end, 15 to 20 is like your higher end. So you're not terrible. Again, 40 leads, four sales, like yeah, 10%. So I would say that again, we can get it up a little bit more, but we tend to be very short-sighted focused. We look at what's happening now, and some of these leads will buy now, and that's the 10%. We see another 10 to 15% buy over the course of 90 days, right? So kind of zoom out your perspective and not get too hung up on just who's buying now in the next 30 days. You're in here for the long game, right? I bet you got a lease, you signed it for years, you're not planning to go anywhere for years. So, like, show up with that kind of energy to your marketing. Yes, we want to have haste and urgency and get to our leads ASAP, but you're only trimming off a small amount of people who are ready to buy now. And so, again, there's only so much you can do to optimize and get that number up. You're not going to really ever see like 50% of leads buy a trial program or a membership. So just reset expectations on what's realistic. And that's why you got to have a lot of different poles in the water. You got to be making social media content. You got to have relationships with local businesses. You got to run internal referral campaigns. You got to do past member reach outs, have all kinds of different marketing funnels going so that you're not just dependent on Meta as your only source. All right. So that's that, Freddie. Thank you for the question. Would love to hear a follow up in the future. Okay. Let's move on to question two. Comes from Tiffany, who owns F45s. Okay, Dustin, love what you're doing. I own two F45 franchises, want to open a third, but honestly, I can barely manage these two. It's incredibly frustrating. I want to open that third location. I have the funds, I just don't have the team infrastructure. My coaches are great in the gym, but they won't do outreach. No one's following up on things like cancellations. And I feel like I'm the only one who actually cares if the business grows. My revenue has been flat for about 18 months, and I know I'm leaving money on the table. How do you grow without burning out? All right, definitely can understand this one, Tiffany. There's a like a quote, forgot who said it, but basically they said we all do what we're incentivized to do. So if your team is not doing a specific behavior, I would look at the way that they're being incentivized and go to that, right? And so if they just get the same paycheck and they don't really doesn't really hit them if the revenue, if the member count's going up, if people are canceling, if people are freezing, if trials become a member, they're just hanging out and doing what they love. They love the coaching, right? And if they're being paid and incentivized to just coach and not really have any attachment to member growth, revenue growth, like then that's the behavior you're going to get. So you definitely want to put incentives in place. And, at the end of the day, I'm sure you have a mission that you get you excited to help people with their health and fitness. We have to also go back to that, right? Like everything starts with the mission and the vision of the business and why we do what we do, right? We're not just humans that want to wake up and do tasks. We want to make sure that it's leading up to a big vision coming to fruition, right? So maybe it's making your community more healthy and fit. Maybe it's helping your community lose a certain amount of pounds by the end of the year. So then you can tie these behaviors and say, hey guys, when people cancel, that takes us away from achieving our mission. We're not going to help our community get more healthy. We're not going to hit our pounds goal. And so you can then point to the mission and the vision of why you need to get these things done, right? So that's step one. If you don't have one, make one because then people don't really understand how that what little small things that they do lead to like the big outcome, right? Create that mission, create that vision. And like the difference between the two is the vision is where are we going? So let's say we want to help our community lose 10,000 pounds this year. The mission is, why are we going there? Why is that important? Why should we care, right? And so you got to have the answers for both of those, the target, and then why are we going towards that target? Now, in terms of like tactically getting them to do these things, I think that number one is, if you're the easy button, whenever there's a problem and they call you and you respond and you take care of it, you're actually training them to continue to do that. So this is going to be tough, but you're actually going to have to dig your heels in and not help them and say, guys, we've trained on this. Obviously, you should train them on it. What to say, how to handle it, what are the next steps, what's the escalation process. If you don't have that, spend some time and document that. Then say, hey, we're going to train on it. I'm going to have you guys role play with me and other team members so you get it down pat, and then it's in your hands. I empower you. Take a knee. I'm doing a sword on either side of your shoulders. Like, I christen you the cancellation fighter, right? And so from that point forward, you have to fight the urge to jump in and help them when a cancellation comes in, because you built the process, you got smart people hired. They then have to take responsibility for the outcome, right? If you keep jumping in and saving them, they will just always go that path, right? People look for the path of least resistance. Gym owners, I don't want you to have the reputation in town as the gym that doesn't call people back, all right? We know it's critical when someone's finally made a decision to get healthy and fit that we get to them as quickly as possible. This can be solved by plugging in our remote sales reps, okay? It's not AI, it's not a bot, it's a real human that's working on your leads, the new ones that come in from your ads and the old leads in your database. And they're there to qualify the leads, to ask them discovery questions, and to make sure they're a good fit. And then their job is to move them forward in your sales process so that you get more members month over month. All right, if you want to learn about our remote sales reps, go ahead and go to gymreinforcements.com, book a call, and we'll tell you more about it. See you then. So that's what I would do. And again, you could put an incentive in place. Like, hey guys, if we get a cancellation, you save it, I'll give you X commission, right? Or if we have less than this many cancellations, or we hit this much retention, I'm going to treat the team gets a bonus, or I'm going to treat the team to an experience. Or when we rack up 3 months of this, you can take X amount of dollars and apply it towards a certification. Find out what gets your team to tick. Some are money driven. I actually tend to find a lot of coaches aren't. Some are experience driven. They would rather go have like a team outing, a team dinner. That I feel like speaks to a lot of them. Some are education driven. They want to keep learning and want more certs and want more conferences and workshops. So you offer to pay for it if they scratch your back, right? You help with cancellations and hitting my retention goals. So that's what I mean by aligning incentives. You can't just give them the flat rate and hope for that. Like, you're hoping for an owner care, but an employee wages, right? So you got to kind of give them opportunities to earn more for having owner care. And at the end of the day, I also would say that this starts at the interview process. Like, are you really looking at their level of care when they're coming on board or they're interviewing? Like, show me a way that you've cared beyond what was expected of you in a previous job. If you came aboard, how would you show care to our clients other than just coaching them through a great workout? And so you can kind of suss this out by asking the right questions at the interview process. All right. Now, in terms of going to your third location question, like, hey, I want to do this, like, but my team's not ready for it. I would tell you that you should really pause on that for now and get these things buttoned up where they don't need you, because obviously they do. You're just cutting and pasting your same problem into a new location, and it's going to be magnified. And now you're going to deal with cancellations for 3 gyms because you haven't figured out how to get these 2 dialed in. And I know it's frustrating because I've been there. I've had the money and the desire to go and expand, and then the team is the thing holding me back. So that I learned the hard way that I have actually overexpanded. So I'm speaking from experience. I've overexpanded beyond my team's capabilities, which at the end of the day falls on me. It was my capabilities of being able to build leaders and build scalable processes. So I needed to stop, make sure a leader was ready to go. I'm a big fan of trying to transfer a leader from an existing location to then be the person that opens the new location, because then they are bringing the culture from the previous location to the new one. It's harder to go with a raw team at a raw location and get the culture the way you want it, especially when you are a removed owner. I'm assuming at 3 locations, you're not going to be at all 3 of them every day. So think about that too. Like, it's not just about money and build out, it's also a culture transfer. And so who's going to drive the culture if you won't be there, which I'm assuming you won't with 3. So I would really take some time. And, the good part about this is you can allow yourself to accumulate more so you feel safe. and it's not a big risk on you. You can really keep looking for that perfect space to lease. You know, you don't have to feel pressure to get in something now. You can take your time and look around for the right one. You can talk to your other, since you're in the F45 franchise, you can talk to them and say, like, what mistakes did you guys make when you went to three or beyond? And take the time to interview and learn from others. Like, I think it's a good time to just slow down and stabilize and get your systems dialed in, get your team dialed in, build the leader that you're going to put into location three, look for the right lease, and start to interview peers who've gone ahead of you and learn from their mistakes so you don't got to repeat them. All right. Hopefully that helps. If you have other questions that you want to submit after hearing this, like follow-up questions, feel free, and we'll put that on a future mailbag episode. All right, Tiffany. Okay, moving on to my third and final question for this episode, and this is Derek with Elite Fitness Training. He says, "Hey, I've been following you for a while. Thanks for the content. My gym does a great job getting new members to the door. Our closing rate on consoles is around 65%, which I know is solid, but my attrition is brutal. People sign up, stick around for 2 or 3 months, and then disappear. I've tried loyalty programs, I've tried check-in streaks, nothing sticks. I'm constantly on the hamster wheel of replacing members I just worked hard to get. Is this a coaching problem or a marketing problem?" All right. I love that you actually asked that question because it could be either, to tell you the truth. I have to ask more follow-up questions. I only have so much context in this question, but it, for the most part, was great, Derek. What I would say is, yes, it could be a marketing problem. If you put out the wrong verbiage and positioning and messaging on your ad copy and on your text and on your emails, you will get the incorrect type of clients, non-ideal avatars who will then turn quicker. And when you get your ideal people, they stick and they stick for years, right? And so to be honest, it could be either. So let's entertain both, right? Is it a coaching problem or is it a marketing problem? Well, I would stop and look at all of your marketing, your emails, your texts, your Facebook posts, your Facebook ads, and say, who am I really talking to on these things, right? Like, who is the ideal avatar? Is it so vague that like anybody can buy this thing? Is it men, women, younger, older? Is people who want body transformation, people who want to get stronger, people who want to run marathons. So that therein lies the problem is when you sell to everybody, you really are going to have a hard time figuring out who is my niche that I'm speaking to. And I would really ask you to take some time and dial that in because that's when the magic happens. Like they say, the riches are in the niches for a reason because when you speak to one avatar with one problem, that's when you can really specialize and call yourself a unique gym, right? The big box gyms try to serve everybody, but they are well capitalized. They have deep pockets. They have way more amenities than you're going to be able to offer. So let them do that. But be the specialist, right? Be the brain surgeon, not the general doctor of whatever problem you are passionate about solving, okay? And then what type of client you enjoy serving the most, right? And get more of those people. So call that out, right? So if I love working with business owners, I want all of my posts to be about someone who's grinding, growing their business and letting their health suffer. And that's why we help CEOs and business people and working professionals do this, right? If I help moms, I'm going to talk about the busy life of being a mom and trying to juggle and find time for health and fitness. On the majority of my posts, I really, you can start exploring multiple avatars down the road, but I really tell people for the first 3 to 5 years, you should really be talking to one avatar until you get that 200 to 300 member amount, and then you can expand and go to different demos if you choose. But at the end of the day, that's where you want to investigate your marketing problem because it could be, to be honest, it could be your marketing is bringing in non-committed people. This is why I don't like short trials or one session or 1 week because it's like trying to ask someone to marry you after your first date. I like selling long-term front-end programs, 8 to 12 weeks, because that means the person is knowing on the front end, okay, I'm committing to something longer. And then they tend to convert afterward into membership, which again doesn't sound like it's a problem for you. You're saying you get 65% close, but there is some sort of mismatch going on, right? So I think again, marketing could be it. Maybe you have really sticky people who are middle aged, and then you have turn and burn that are younger, right? Or older, right? That's up to you. But that's for you to look at. Now, with the coaching, this could also be it. How much care are they giving? And the part where they need the most, I will tell you, is in the onboarding. Because in the first week to 3 weeks, people have the most self confidence issues and they're being the most brutal on themselves. Like, man, I couldn't get through that workout. Man, I'm sore and wrecked again. Man, the scale still doesn't budge. Like they are in their head, and you need to be like deploying like I guess like like anti negative thoughts, right? You need to be deploying encouragement and shout outs and celebrating wins, and like that is your safeguard from people winning the battle in their heads with all the negative thoughts. Like, man, I'm not getting in there enough. I'm not seeing enough results. I'm sore again. I couldn't keep up. I was the most out of shape person. And if someone is repeating this in their head for 3 weeks, like, yeah, they're going to bounce, right? So I would really encourage you to make sure there's a lot of care and check-ins and support in the beginning, because that's when people are the toughest on themselves. They want everything to be a magic fix and to be done within a week or two. So you need someone being the voice of reason and giving education and doing check-ins and helping them answer FAQs. That I would really take a look at when you say, could it be a coaching problem? Yes. If you don't have a great onboarding, like they sign up and they go into a workout, well, you're just a workout dealer, right? And so people will get bored and they'll just go find another workout that might be cheaper or closer. But when you have a relationship, people have a hard time leaving that because you are caring about them more than any other gym has. And that was something I always took pride in, is like, man, you're the first gym that asked a lot of questions about me. You're the first gym to seem like you cared. You're the first gym that checked in on me if I didn't come in for a few days, or if I told you I was going to be gone. You want to, hear how things went on this vacation or this, work trip or whatever. They're like, you guys are not just a gym. You guys are like family to me. So that's where you want to go and do some digging. And one way you could do this is you could get a secret shopper, right? You could say, hey, I want here's what's going on in my gym. Same thing you told me. I'm going to cover your program. You're not going to pay anything, but I want you to do my front end program. I want you to go through the sales process, pretend to put up a little bit of a fight, then buy. And then I want you to go through onboarding, and then we're going to have a feedback session, right? I want to meet with you weekly and just say, how did this week go? What was good? What was bad? And they're kind of in there being a spy, but this is one of the best ways to hear the truth, because if you secret shop your own business, that's not going to work, right? The jig is up. You're the owner. But you send in a secret shopper, that's where you can get a lot of valuable data. All right. So hope that helped you, Derek. That's it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. If you like these mailbag episodes, again, hearing real world problems from real world gym owners, I'll keep doing them. So tag me on social media, screenshot the episode, tag me, say, hey, I like this. Can you keep doing more? And we'll do. But for now, I will wait to hear back from you guys. All right. So appreciate you, and see you guys next week. Hey, gym owners, let's face it, you probably don't love digital marketing. You probably don't want to go into Facebook and load the ad up and think of ad copy and creatives and optimize it daily. Well, hand that over to me and my team, because we're geeks about marketing and we want to flood your gym with new members so you can change their life. Let us do what we do best. All right, go to gymreinforcements.com, book a call. Don't bring the credit card. It's not a hard pitch. It's just a conversation to see if we're a good fit. Talk soon.